Hello everyone, I got a question for you. How many times have you heard in the world of plants and in researching plants on YouTube and reading things, have you heard the saying, loose and loomy, well-drained, nutrient-rich soil? I know when I first started getting into gardening, that seemed to be attached to all the plants. Any experienced gardener will tell you that there's plants that grow in straight water, there's pond plants, there's a wide variety of types of plants that don't necessarily require the same thing. And so I'm here today to talk to you about a plant that doesn't. In fact, this plant needs to be wet almost all the time. It's native to the subtropical tropicals from Indonesia, China, Japan, and the Pacific, the South Pacific is where you'll find this plant. In fact, its native home environment is more swampy, so it needs to be wet all the time. Drying this plant out will actually kill it. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Garden Fever. I'm Corey Lefevre, your host, and I'm coming to you from northern Utah in the United States. Welcome back. I got an exciting episode today. Today we're going to be talking about a very cool herb. And this highly medicinal tropical plant is legendary. It's a legendary perennial, especially in the Asian cultures, in the countries that I mentioned. It's gaining popularity in Europe and America. But that's the Gotu Kola. Now, don't be confused with Goku drinking a cola, for those that are from Japan. But it's an herb. It's a ground covering herb. And this legendary perennial has been used for centuries in so many medicinal ways. It's very nutrient. It has a lot of medicinal properties. It's a bittersweet. There's a slight bitterness to it, but it is relatively odorless and I wouldn't say tasteless, slightly bittersweet. But it's been used in food, many recipes, and of course medicinally. So, in fact, it's even rumored to be an anti-aging plant. There's some legends and stories in the Asian culture of people living hundreds of years, and they attribute it to this plant. I don't know whether or not that's the truth or not, but it has given rise to the legend of being an anti-aging plant. So with that, let's get right into it. We'll get into the specifics and get into all the questions that most plant lovers want and need to grow this plant. Oh, by the way, this is mine. I'm trying to grow it indoors. Like I said, it's a subtropical and tropical. So I'm trying to get it to grow indoors without any grow lights. It prefers dappled light and low light. It's under the canopy type of a plant, ground cover, so it's doing well. As you can see, mine's done pretty good so far. I'm hoping to just grow it indoors and have it thrive in this environment is what I'm trying to do. In Zone 6 in Utah, it's too cold of winters for this plant, so it usually kills it off. We grow this as an annual if we grow it outside. So anyway, let's get right into it and quit lollygagging around. Soil's got to stay moist. It's got to stay wet all the time. It doesn't have to sit necessarily in water. It can grow in soil. It can grow in ponds and stuff like that. But you're going to want it to be, if you're going to grow it indoors or as an annual, as like a crop, and harvest it, you're going to want to keep it so never let it dry out is the bottom line. The pH balance of the soil is a 5.1 to a 9.0, so very acidic to very alkaline. Seems to be the range. As far as sun, I want to be clear on this one, it gets full sun. It can handle full sun if it's in a very humid environment and is kept wet. It can handle a full sun. If it's in any kind of if it's a dry sun, you'll burn it. It can't dry out is the bottom line, people. To partial shade. In fact, the most ideal is dappled light. It wants a dappled light from above. That seems to be the most optimal if you're trying to recreate its environment. Propagation, it goes through corms. It can be propagated through corms and seeds and rhizomes. Now, I don't have a ton of experience with this plant, but from what I've researched and the experience I have had, seeds are very, very finicky. They can be done. It is very difficult. They can't dry out at all, and they have a long germination period. And I'm not exactly sure the length of time. If anyone knows, will you please put that in the comments? Thank you. So I find that the best way to procreate it or to reproduce it is to use the rhizomes to split it. Split the root. As long as it has some rhizomes, it'll multiply. So I think that's the easiest way. Harvest time, you can harvest any time of the year. You basically take the leaves. The entire plant is edible and usable, but the leaves tend to be the more popular. You can just pick them, eat them, throw them on salads, put them in shakes. There's just tons of things. There's all kinds of recipes and Asian recipes that have this in it. But you can harvest these throughout the entire year. There's no specific time, so you can pull leaves off of it throughout the entire year. In fact, pulling them here and there is actually good for it. It'll bush them out more. Anybody that knows how taproot type rhizome root plants grow, you just take the leaves. It's like giving it a haircut. It instantly rebounds, and as long as the core root is still good. Now, with any plant and anything, there is side effects. We just got into the medicinal uses. There are people that can be allergic to it, so this isn't like a universal, every human being is fine. This is a very good and healthy plant for the majority of human beings. There is obviously a small percentage that can. So some of the side effects for people that are sensitive to Gotu Kola may experience skin rashes, an upset stomach, and nausea. It seems to be the main side effects. The family that it is from is the Umbelliferae, also known as the carrot family. It's obviously, there's plenty of pennyworts and weed-looking pennyworts out there, and sometimes it can be hard to identify. So we'll get into that. Height. It will grow to be about 15 centimeters or 6 inches tall. It's a ground cover, so it doesn't grow real tall. It's meant to be under the trees and under the canopy and kind of cover the floor of it. Width-wise, it'll be 22 to 30 centimeters wide, and that's how far you want to space it. So 9 to 12 inches spread apart. Ground covers usually can bunch up and be fine. Gotu Kola is a clonal perennial that thrives in and around water. It's a swamp plant. It's native to India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, South Africa, Japan, China, so it seems to be the tropicals and subtropicals of those types of areas. The flower, it blooms a white, light purple, light pink flower. It's a very small flower, and they bloom in July to August. The leaves are green and they're fan shaped. The stem is off to the side and has an indentation where it fans out. This is important because there's lots of weeds and pennyworts that look similar to it but can be misidentified. We'll get into that later. Alright, now this is growing as a weed in my backyard. Looks like a pennywort of some type. It's not the dollar pennywort. Just like the Gotu Kola, it has this split on the end and fans out, not in the center like the pennywort dollar one. So I'm a little unsure if this is wild Gotu Kola or if this is just a type of pennywort that's growing. Usually it's too cold to grow, but it is sheltered. This is covered, so maybe it is. If you know, let me know in the comments down below if this is Gotu Kola or just some sort of a pennywort of some sort. It's hard to tell. Thank you all for joining me today again and talking about this wonderful herb, the Gotu Kola. I encourage everybody to grow it. It's pretty easy. It is invasive. It's an invasive plant. If you're growing it in its natural environment, we'll ground cover it, we'll spread across the ground and cover it. It does what it's supposed to do. So with that, I want to thank you all. Thanks to all my subscribers, you're the best. Please leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions, or you can email me. I'll leave all that in the description. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Corey LaFever. This is Garden Fever. We'll see you then.